All right, I'm going to talk about exploring the periodic table. You're supposed to read through this, take notes over it, and answer questions 1 through 8. So let's go over 1 through 8. Number 1, explain why elements in a group on the periodic table have similar chemical properties. Well, they have similar chemical properties because they've got the same number of valence electrons. You remember, valence electrons are outer shell electrons. So atoms that have a similar number of outer shell electrons have similar, or have the same number of outer shell electrons have similar characteristic properties. Number 2, compare the number of valence electrons in an atom of oxygen with the number of valence electrons in an atom of selenium. Are oxygen and selenium in the same period or same group? Well, if you look at the periodic table, the number of valence electrons for oxygen, which is right here, it's in group 16, so it has 6. Selenium is right here, it's in group 16 also, so it has 6. So the number of valence electrons are the same. So I'm going to say same number of valence electrons. I'm going to put parentheses here, 6. Then it says, are oxygen and selenium in the same period or the same group? They're in the same group. Number 3, explain why some atoms gain or lose electrons to form ions. Atoms need a full outer shell of electrons to be stable. If it's easier to lose electrons to be stable, they form plus ion. Gaining electrons forms a minus ion. So atoms that only have 1 or 2 electrons in their outer energy level have a tendency to lose them because it's easier to lose 1 or 2 than gain 6 or 7. Atoms that have 6 or 7, it's easier to gain 1 or 2 electrons than it is to lose 6 or 7. Number 4, describe why lithium and other group 1 elements usually form positive ions, while fluorine and group 17 elements form negative ions. Li has 1 valence electron, so it's easier to lose 1 than gain 7. Fluorine has 7 valence electrons, so it's easier to gain 1 than lose 7. Number 5, list the 3 main categories of elements and give an example of each. 3 main categories are metals, nonmetals, and semiconductors. And so let's give an example of each of those. So a metal would be anything to the left of the stair-step line. So iron, we'll put as a metal. Fe. Nonmetals are anything to the right of the stair-step line. So oxygen would be a nonmetal. And then semiconductors are anything on the stair-step line. So silicon would be a semiconductor. Number 6, Predict which ion cesium forms, cesium plus or cesium 2 plus. Well, cesium is in group 1. Oops. Cesium is in group 1. So it has one valence electron. So it's going to lose that valence electron and form a cesium plus ion. Number 7, I'm going to put over here, says determine whether the elements that fit the following descriptions are more likely to be metals or nonmetals. A shiny substance used to make flexible bed springs, that's a metal. Letter B, a yellow powder from underground mines, that's a nonmetal. Letter C, a gas that does not react, nonmetal. Letter D, a conducting material used with flexible wire, that's a metal. Letter E, a brittle substance that does not conduct heat, that's a nonmetal. And then number 8, predict the charge of a beryllium ion. Beryllium is in group 2, it's right here. So that means it has 2 valence electrons. So it's going to have a tendency to lose those 2 electrons. So it's going to be Be plus 2, because it now has 2 more protons than it has electrons.